In 2022, the Taiwanese horror film Incantation was released, quickly gaining a reputation as one of Taiwan's scariest movies ever. But what you might not know is that the film's inspiration comes from a true event far more terrifying and bizarre than anything on screen. A family driven to madness, violently attacking each other, and even consuming each other's excrement. Today, we're delving into the shocking case of the six-member Wu family in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, and their collective possession. Let's go back to 2005 in Kaohsiung City, Taiwan. The Wu family seemed perfectly normal. The youngest daughter, Wu Mei, 22, was a university student in Taipei. The son, in his 20s, worked at a local printing factory. Everyone in the family held a respectable job. To their neighbors, the Lin family, the Wus were a quiet, ordinary household. This perception was shattered on April 11th. That afternoon, Wu Weiyun, the father, frantically sought out the Lin family, with whom he usually had little contact, asking for help. As Ms. Lin entered the Wu family's three-story home, she immediately felt a strange atmosphere. The house, usually bustling with 6 people, was eerily silent. She called out several times, but no one answered. Overcome by curiosity, she decided to go upstairs to the 3rd floor. As she ascended, a peculiar stench grew stronger. On the floor, she found the eldest daughter, Wu Jinnu, lying motionless, foaming at the mouth. Horrified, Ms. Lin immediately called 911. By the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. Wu Jinnu was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her autopsy report revealed disturbing findings: multiple bruises on her body and marks from being burned by incense sticks. More shockingly, her mouth, esophagus, and stomach were filled with feces. Her time of death was determined to be April 9th. When the paramedics were still at the scene, a spiritual medium in white robes declared that Wu Jinnu had died from long-term starvation and lack of sleep, leading to organ failure. But why were there so many bizarre circumstances surrounding her death? Upon entering the Wu family's main door, an overwhelming stench of decay and human waste hit the investigators. Above the door hung a red compass and a talisman covered in strange symbols. The windows were tightly shut, with curtains drawn even in broad daylight. On the 3rd floor, the living room had been transformed into a spiritual altar dedicated to the 3rd prince, Neza, a popular deity in Taiwan. Taiwanese people are very devout, with 400 to 500 Neza temples across the island. In the center of the living room, a bowl containing feces and water-soaked talismans sat on a plate. The walls were smeared with feces, and yellow talismans were plastered everywhere. The entire atmosphere was incredibly eerie, suggesting some kind of ritual. Even more perplexing was the disappearance of the other 5 members of the Wu family. Police had never encountered such a bizarre scene and hoped to find clues from the Wu family's neighbors. Ms. Lin recounted that ever since the eldest daughter, Wu Jinnu, had moved back home, the family seemed to have gone mad, constantly performing rituals at their doorstep. The scene was so terrifying that it disturbed the entire neighborhood. Even relatives living on the 1st and 2nd floors were too scared to stay and checked into hotels. 2 days after the incident, the 5 missing members of the Wu family were found in Tainan. At first glance, they appeared normal. But when their clothes were lifted, investigators found numerous wounds and bruises. When asked about Wu Jinnu's death, they chillingly insisted that Wu Jinnu was not dead. It was an evil spirit that had died. Police even brought a Taoist ritual implement, the Jade Emperor's ruler, symbolizing the Jade Emperor's power to expel evil, hoping to break their delusion and get them to speak freely. The Wu family finally opened up, recounting the bizarre sequence of events. In February 2005, the family began having continuous nightmares. One night, the mother, Wu Weiyun, dreamed of being possessed by the 3rd prince, Neza. The deity allegedly instructed her to bring her eldest daughter, who was working in Taipei, back home, warning that she would be in mortal danger otherwise. The family immediately went to Taipei and brought Wu Jinnu home. The night Wu Jinnu returned, the mother received a mysterious phone call. No one knows who called or what was said, but the situation only worsened, escalating to a terrifying degree. After returning home, all 6 family members seemed to become possessed one by one. The parents believed they were the Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother, while their children were various deities. They would suddenly go mad, hurting themselves or attacking each other with various, divine weapons. To expel the possessing spirits, they would burn each other with lit incense sticks, leaving the house covered in blood and burns. They would often go without food or sleep for days, seemingly without feeling tired. Even more disturbing, they would smear feces on each other's bodies. Despite knowing it was excrement, they felt no disgust or discomfort during these ritualistic acts. This lasted for nearly 20 days. Neighbors frequently heard the Wu family's screams and shouts, concluding they had all gone insane. Yet, no one chose to call the police, dismissing it as a family matter. Even at this point, the family still did not believe their eldest daughter was dead, convinced she had merely lost her soul. It took 2 more days for them to accept Wu Jinu's death. The 5 remaining family members, fearing further possession, then fled to Taiwan. The 5 family members' behavior was consistent with mass delusion, a phenomenon where a group of people collectively believes in a non-existent idea, rapidly spreading within the group and forming a shared belief, leading to collective action. Given their mental state, there was no one to prosecute. The court ultimately determined that Wu Jinu died of organ failure, unrelated to external forces, ruling out death by beating. Therefore, the 5 family members were found not guilty. After the verdict, the family sought spiritual cleansing for the deceased and invited a Taoist master to perform an exorcism at their home. Only then did the Wu family reportedly return to normal life. The case, once exposed, caused a sensation in Taiwan. If we explain it simply, from the perspective of religious delusion and mass psychosis, it's a terrifying case. But if we analyze it from a purely scientific standpoint, it becomes an extremely horrifying murder investigation. Let's review the key facts. The eldest daughter, Wu Jinu, was the first to show signs of distress. After her death, the other 5 family members' first instinct was to flee the scene. Subsequent psychiatric evaluations revealed their mental state was disconnected. Wu Jinu had left home for Taipei to work, but was reportedly forced back by her family. Was she then confined and abused by her family, leading to her death? Did the family then use religious superstition to absolve themselves of guilt? These are only theories. The truth behind what truly happened may forever remain a mystery. Which explanation are you more inclined to believe?